Well, hello, Maverick traders. Welcome to the Currency Recap. Joe with you here. It's the 3rd of April. It is a Thursday, and boy, was it ever a Thursday. You guys know the drill, so make sure you follow along. I'm going to take a look at the meaningful news of the day. Let's look at some stuff technically, and we'll share some trades if they're out there.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional Forex and crypto traders. Maverick Currencies is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional Forex and currency trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
Moving into the market analysis, folks, well, let's just get right to it. U.S. tariffs met with bearish reaction impacting more than just the U.S. equity markets. I saw a lot of things go down. So let's see that the impact that it actually had on everything. So the yen up a little bit. The U.S. dollar dropped about 1.5%, but the franc seems to be the new flight to safety. So seeing the yen and the franc up kind of made me say that, hey, those are probably our flights to safety. The euro hung in there pretty good. The pound slipped a little bit, CAD down. But the risk on currencies seemed to look a little bit more pessimistic. Overall, how do we do in the markets? Well, down about 5% in the S&P. The futures were down quite a bit during the tariff announcement from last night and continued to just stay there. The world index down 3.95%. Now, crypto folks, it was down 0.19%. I apologize. I didn't get this number in time. They were down a lot more than that. We'll take a look at the individual charts, but they have just been so volatile. By the time I built this, they're already pushing and pulling. I'll show you the slide here in a second. But what I thought that was interesting is gold and oil were also down. So it wasn't just specific to the U.S. The dollar was weak and the U.S. equities were weak, but we saw gold down. I saw oil down. I saw interest rates down, and not just U.S. rates. All sorts of different things going on here. So this is what I got. I got Bitcoin down 0.64, a bounce in Bitcoin Cash 0.42 up, Ethereum 0.29, Litecoin 0.94. Once again, guys, as of the time I built this class, this is where we're at, but we'll take a look at the volatility charts to get a little bit more because they were down substantially for today. Let's take a look at how we finished. Pretty easy. Big volume. We're down below the 20, below the 50. We're looking for that, hey, break below the support level to go to that -3 level, and we are there. So let me just zoom in a little bit. And geez, there's not a lot of explanation here. It's a reaction to an announcement that still creates all sorts of different questions. Where do we go from here? What's affected? What are the ramifications? All sorts of different things. So big gap down, big volume associated with it. We are definitely, we're definitely below a floor that I've been talking about. So it looks like that this bear rally has absolutely confirmed itself. But it did confirm itself very quickly and very fast. So we'll have to see where this is going to take us over the next few days. What's tough about this, guys, is when you do get these market reactions and you get a big sell-off and a big push to the downside, definitely on the bearish side of things. Let's take a look at the economic news. On the calendar, we really didn't have much that jumped out. A couple things of interest. The unemployment claims were lower than expected, 225K versus the 219. The ADP non-farm roll change, I talked about this with our equity class, I thought was pretty interesting as well. I mean, that's a pretty substantial move in March to the upside. Not sure if it's kind of a one and done. I imagine the economic numbers are going to be as volatile as the markets themselves. But the 100-pound gorilla in the room is definitely these tariffs and the reaction to them. Now, what do we got coming up? Well, we've got unemployment in Canada and employment rate. We do have the same idea here, unemployment rate when it comes to the U.S. and some non-farm payroll change. I don't think that's going to do too much, especially in light of some of the reaction that we saw today based on this tariff action. So, folks, let's just jump straight into the currency analysis and kind of break down what we're left with. As always, let's start with the yen. Now, the yen looks promising. We're just going to take a look at the velocity score here, and I just love that it had a move to the upside. It looks pretty strong. Once again, this is one of those stable, quote-unquote, risk-off currencies. The U.S. was supposed to be the other one, but in light of what's going on, we'll see. But we'll take a look at the franc here, as that it looks like it's kind of replacing it. A nice little push to the upside. I like the move on the RSI. We got the move to the upside here on the moving average and a flip on the SAR. It was easy for me to give this a +2. Actually, I bumped it up to a +3 because this surge might continue. It depends on the amount of fear that remains in, or I should say with investors overall. So this might be a 1, 2, 3, 4 day thing. We'll have to follow it along. Now, on the other side, folks, this is the dollar. Now, it's definitely bouncing, but how it closed was well about 1.5%. It broke down. It fell apart. There's a lot of fear in there. Easy for me to put it at a -2, and I went -2 because I think it's going to have a bounce. We could call it a -3, honestly. It just started to roll over on the moving average, so it was consolidating. This move is definitely skewed by the last velocity push today, the parabolic SARs. So if you want to call it a -3, great. I'm going to call it a -2 because it seems a little quick, a little fast. I do expect a little bit of a bounce, but it could quite easily stay weak and might be that nice currency that we could pair against something stronger. Now, speaking of stronger, folks, we got the franc. Now, the franc has emerged itself as of late as a little bit more of a consolidating currency. It's been pretty strong relatively, but I like the surge that it had based on this announcement. Now, it was kind of flat on the moving average, a little bit of a tilt up, a flip on the SAR, nice move on the RSI. So I'm going to be very comfortable putting this at a +3. You can say +2 because, hey, Joe, it's a little flip here, but I just like the price action with the breakout. I like the RSI and the flip on the SAR. Moving over to the euro didn't really do much. I thought it would outperform. It seemed like it was going to. Look at this high shadow here throughout the day, but it is definitely showing stability and signs of expansion or move higher. So I definitely am very comfortable keeping the euro to +1. The moving average is kind of back and forth. The range is a little wider, but I like how this RSI is staying above that 50, and I like how it's testing this resistance area. So definitely +1 on the euro. The pound, on the other hand, I had to slide it a little bit. I was very excited to see it back here a little while ago, +1, +2, but it kind of rolled over. It's within a range. Let me see if I can get my pen here. It's within, a range where it could consolidate and bounce back and forth, but the volatility is a little higher. You can see how the RSI is starting to get wider as it moves back and forth. So I'm just going to set it aside for now and just see kind of if it can play itself out to the upside or even roll over. Canadian dollar, I kept it as 0 as well. We talked about the tariffs and the implementation. We know that Mexico and Canada have kind of this circumstance to where it's either going to be delayed or negotiable. I'm not sure exactly how this will play out over the next little bit. However, it looks like the CAD just decided to kind of stay flat. So I'm going to keep it as a 0 for now. I'm not looking to do anything with it. I'm just going to kind of pump the brakes and see how this goes over the next little bit. Now take a look at the risk on currencies. Here's the Aussie. Now the Aussie I thought was interesting. It's weaker than the Kiwi, but look at this. It kind of rolled over. It looked like it was going to fall. I actually had to move this to a -2. The trend on the overall moving average, it sure has some bounces and rollovers, but the flip-flop on the SAR, the general move in the RSI, and the support that it has broken, I just have to kind of keep it at that -1, -2. Look at this, a little bit of an anemic bounce. It looks like it's trying to roll over again, even past the market, close to the U.S. market. So keep an eye on that to see if it continues to get weaker. The Kiwi, on the other hand, isn't as weak, but it sure isn't any stronger. We're kind of in the same situation here. We've got decreasing highs. It looks like it was trying to revisit this. Now, it hasn't broken these support levels like we've seen in the Aussie, but it does look like it wants to roll over. So I didn't want to go totally -2 on this, but I am definitely glass half empty, so I went -1 on the Kiwi as well. So let's take a look at the crypto since we're here, folks. And once again, these things moved so quick and so fast. I didn't get the closing numbers. You could probably find those, But this is what I'm talking about, this huge move to the downside, bounce, rollover, and they've turned since back up. So they're not doing very well. Looks like they were trying to recover. They had a pretty good surge a few days ago, but boy, after this announcement, they had no problem giving it all back up. Take a look at that movement. Look at the drop in the RSI. Now, all of them are a -1, and so let's just go through them briefly. There was a big bounce, but a even stronger move to the downside. It's still playing with this support level until I see some sort of a threat that says that it can come off this bottom. I have to stay bearish on these. Now, this is Bitcoin here. Let's take a look at Bitcoin Cash. Very similar, a little bit smaller here on the range, obviously, but it's down at these levels. It's a descending triangle pattern. RSI is moving a little higher, but it's below 50. Definitely a -1. Here's Ethereum. Had a pretty good move off the bottom since close, but it's just this failure that all of them had back down to support levels. Here's Litecoin as well. That's just put me outside of favor. Now, -1, -2, I just think that there's a little bit more to go here when it comes to how these tariffs need to kind of play themselves out before we can even put things together to make sense of it. So here's my outlook for today. The franc and the yen. If you want to go to a flight to safety, now this used to be the yen dollar, right? But the dollar is completely tied to what's going on right now, and it did slip, and it slipped very, very hard. CAD stayed even. The pound's hanging in there. The euro's showing a little bit more strength. So if you want to look for something safe, look to the franc and the yen. The franc has had a pretty good surge. So when it comes to possible trades, folks, I just don't have any. It is just it's just super reactionary right now, and we have to see how it plays itself out. Now, the first day after the tariff reaction, it creates a big move lower, right? That's what we saw, and I expected that on the U.S. side. And the dollar makes sense. The U.S. equities make sense. However, I wasn't expecting rates to drop. I wasn't expecting gold to drop. I wasn't expecting oil to drop. And not just rates with the U.S., rates with other countries as well. It was interesting to see a flight to safety running into the franc, but they seem to be in line and stable enough to where, well, money's going into it. Money's got to go somewhere. We've got a bunch on the docket. And what's tough, folks, is there's negotiations coming with other countries. We don't know what's going to go on with Canada and Mexico. We don't know any sort of reciprocal tariffs that are going to be put back on the U.S. So this is absolutely more of a scrambling move than any sort of trading style here. There's no sentiment. This is absolutely reactionary. I'm going to leave it there. We can play relative strength and weakness. If you guys want to try to trade, you can, but understand it's mostly luck here. I think as the days go by and some of this news gets through it, we might find something a little bit easier to do. But the initial reaction was very interesting. So just write it down, take note of it, and we could probably use it to our advantage moving forward. But as far as any sort of substantial trade here, it's just kind of a mad dash in all directions based on bias and expectations. All right, folks, that's all I got. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Thanks for joining me. We'll talk to you next time. Bye, everybody.